Hey guys, Dan here. Welcome to another edition of Dan Reviews It. Taking a look at the Conners' most recent episode called Hold the Salt. And here we've got Darlene fully engrossed in this relationship with her new boss, played by J.R. Ferguson. We've seen him now 3 times. A couple weeks ago she had the interview and landed the job. Last week, all this sexual tension between the two of them. And this week they have more than consummated the relationship. They've made it official and had sex on the desk at the office, and then he had her over for dinner, which lent itself to some tension between the two of them, both wanting to sort of have power. Really not even it seemed power in the relationship, but power just of their own lives. You know, they both sort of have these rules about them, and more dominant side of things. So we delved into that a little bit. And then the B story, also dealing with a relationship, this one from Aunt Jackie, and we see the return of the Matthew Broderick character as her boyfriend. And when we met him originally on the Halloween episode, he was just sort of boring, was the character trait. And here we delve a little more into his personality and their relationship as a whole, and we see that maybe he's taking advantage of her financially. Dan decides to confront him about that, and a little more violently, I guess, than Jackie would have liked. Not that violence actually ensued, but certainly harsh words were exchanged. And then when she confronted Dan about it, that is when we have the Roseanne mention for the episode. We've had it so far every episode. We've at least talked once about Roseanne, which again I applaud. I think that's fine. And here, Dan was saying, look, Roseanne would have done this and this, and so here's what I'm doing to make sure he's not taking advantage of you. Jackie had a joke about how Roseanne would have really come to her first, but also broken her down in spirit. So that was a nice little exchange. I'm really digging the Jackie and Dan scenes lately. Last week we had a great one, and here's another good one as well. I guess before we delve too far into the specifics of the episode, though, that's really about it that's happening. We barely see the kids. Emma Kenny is in this episode. Just for a moment at the tag scene at the end, and then we see the rest of the kids in the beginning, in the opening, talking about their Christmas lists and whatnot. DJ and Gina, again, a mere blip. Eventually, I'm hoping we're going to get the Gina episode where we explore that character, but this was certainly not the one. Becky's in it a little bit, but last week was all about Becky, so this week let's make it about I keep saying Roseanne, Darlene, Jackie, and Dan. So I think this is a good episode. It's not great, but it's good. I didn't laugh as much as I have in previous episodes, and I don't know. This is the first episode I felt that things just were wrapping up too quickly. I know I had that issue last season with Roseanne season 10, and I said it then too. It's through no fault of the show itself or the writers. It's just that network shows are so much shorter now than they were back in the Roseanne heyday. We have to wrap up storylines a little quicker, which means we sort of rush to the end of scenes, I feel like, quicker than we need to. This is the first episode that I really felt that way with the Conners, and that maybe speaks to stronger storyline than we've seen, because I do enjoy Darlene's love story with her new boss. I find that intriguing. I find it humorous. But like, for example, so Juliette Lewis appears again as Blue, saying David couldn't make it, wink, wink. Johnny Galecki's, doing Big Bang Theory. But I thought, even that scene was a little short. It's like, we have all these, guest stars now for the episode, and we're not giving them enough time, I don't think. I enjoyed the Blue character. And even the scene in the bar with Dan and the Matthew Broderick character, it was like, it just seemed to kind of come very fast, and then it ended, and then, Dan threatened him, and then that was it. So I don't know. It's hard to blame it on the show, but I don't think I've really felt that problem. I guess maybe because these stories were both sort of related to each other because they're both about relationships, and also it's almost a double A story. I mean, I would say Jackie is the B story of the two, but obviously connected with the first one, so it's almost like one big story that maybe they just didn't get to do enough with yet. I don't know. It's weird because, right, I do like the plot, and maybe that's why I felt it was too short. I wanted more from it, but at the same time, because they were shoving so much plot in there, it wasn't maybe as humorous as some of the previous episodes. So there's that. I don't know. And really, it was, her boss had more lines, and Matthew Broderick had more lines than any of the other regulars, other than John Goodman, Laurie Metcalf, and Sarah Gilbert, which is fine, but that is kind of the problem when you have that many guest stars. Juliette Lewis, right? She had way more screen time than anybody else in the family either. Certainly the kids and DJ and whatnot. So it was sort of an off-balance episode, I think. But again, I really did like the Jackie and Dan scene together. I really hope that they do more with that. I hope that they sort of explore that relationship more. Even though we've certainly been down that road before, but that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Here we're really getting to know the two of them as friends, and certainly as family, but as friends without Roseanne's influence, and Dan looking out for Jackie and all that kind of stuff. So I like that, and I'm glad they got another scene together about. Well, last week it was about their friendship and relationship specifically, but here we see her, being that big brother character, sort of that he was to Jackie way back when, more in her formative years and in her 20s and stuff. So I do like that. I think it's great for the show. And I'm glad that Darlene has, found a love interest. But I do have to say, I think that was a little bit rushed, too, just in general. I mean, it's only the third episode, and now they're already sleeping together. And I guess maybe that's what happens when you have 11 episodes a season instead of, 22 or 24. But I thought, okay, I like the dance, Sam and Diane, Ross and Rachel. I like the will they, won't they kind of thing that sitcoms do. Maybe with Darlene's age, she's in her early 40s, maybe they feel like they don't have to do that because it's like, oh, well, at her age, she can, jump in the sack and jump into a marriage, and who knows, all right, I can relate, I'm in my early 40s as well. I've said this many times on the show that me and Sarah Gilbert are pretty much the same age. But I still would have liked a little bit more of a will they or won't they, or a when will they, because it did seem pretty inevitable from the last episode that they were going to get together sooner than later, I guess. But I guess I wanted a little bit more of the dance that goes with it. So, all is said and done, I thought it was a good episode. Really, we haven't had a bad one yet. I would say this might be the weakest we've seen. I don't know, though. It's hard to say because I really did like the storylines. I just wish that things weren't wrapped up too quickly, and I wish that that relationship with Darlene didn't land so quickly, in episode 3 here of this character. It'll certainly be interesting to see where it goes. I would have liked some more humor, I think. Not all the jokes landed for me. And that's about it, really. I mean, Lacey Gordonson was good, as she's been lately, back on her game. I do I guess I do kind of like it when the kids are more shoved off to the side, because really, the Roseanne cast that we know and love, Jackie, Darlene, Dan, Becky, these really should be the core players. So I don't mind necessarily that the kids weren't in it very much, but because of all of the guests, because you had Matthew Broderick and you had Juliette Lewis and you've got J.R. Ferguson, we just didn't get to spend enough time with any of the characters I really wanted to spend time with, I guess. So in that respect, maybe it was a little bit more of a miss than some of the other episodes we've seen, but still enjoyable. I would say it's above average. So in conclusion, I'm going to give Hold the Salt a B-. I think we've explored some interesting territory here. I don't think it was mined for as many laughs as they could have gotten out of it, but when they've got to progress the story so much in such a short amount of time, sometimes that can be tricky. So I can't entirely blame the show for that, so much as I can blame the network. I watch these shows on Netflix or even some of the cable channels, FX or whatever, and it's like episodes are 25, 28 minutes, and here we've got to get through everything in about 20 and a half, and it does seem very rushed. So that's going to do it for me. Hope you've enjoyed this review. Please come back next week for more. A lot of cool stuff coming up on the channel. I started a new series called Classic TV Rewind, and I reviewed the 1952 show Abbott and Costello. I'm going to do more of those. It really, look, it didn't get as many hits as I would have liked, but that's okay. I've said it before, I don't necessarily do videos just to get 1,000 hits or whatever it is, or 5,000 views. If the people that do watch it enjoy it, that's all I care about. So please check it out, if you haven't done so, and let me know your thoughts on that, and of course comment on this video, as you guys always do. You guys are great with the Roseanne and Connor's comments, so I love hearing that as well. Subscribe if you haven't. Join us on Facebook, which is Dan Reviews It. And that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.